afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the February meeting of the Pinal County Community College Governing Board District. We are pleased to welcome faculty and staff and members of the community and any students that might be with us today. You'll probably notice that the agenda is a little bit different as we move through. We've moved the action items to the forefront so that everyone will have a chance to see those first on, and then the reports will follow. We will start this afternoon with a Pledge of Allegiance led by Dr. Banks, and then we'll do call to the public.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have no one assigned for call to the public at this time, so we will move now to item 4, which is approval of minutes.
Got your light on.
Motion to approve? I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All right. There was a green light on that, but it was a dark green. So now I know it has to be light green. There is a difference between green colors. Pardon me. All right, I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as presented. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, we'll proceed to vote. Those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by saying nay? Hearing none, the motion is approved unanimously. Next item is item 5, revised mission, vision, and values. Dr. Elliott.
Thank you. As many of you know, we've been embarking on our strategic planning process, that's really loud, since even our board retreat this past summer. And the Strategic Planning Committee did a mission, vision, and values survey. We were lucky enough to have about 286 people respond, internal and external stakeholders, including Board of Trustees. And one of the things that we learned from that is that the respondents did not feel like our current mission and vision and values at the time were succinct and really distinguished us from other institutions, or that it was generally understood or used and followed. So one of the things that we did is we had the qualitative feedback was it needed to be shortened. It needed to be something that people could really articulate and follow and live by. And so we put together a subcommittee to look at it, and they came back with a shorter, more holistic, forward-thinking, and distinguishable mission and vision. That was kind of their goal, is could it be holistic rather than trying to detail the parts of what we do, student services, academics, financial, but being more holistic and more applicable for the 21st century. So what's before you from the Strategic Planning Committee is a proposal that has been vetted through the whole committee after the subcommittee looked at that, a new vision, mission, and value statement. And for the sake of the audience, I'll read these to you because you may not have it in front of you. But the new vision that is being proposed to the board from the Strategic Planning Committee is that Central Arizona College is a premier choice in education and career excellence. The new mission is Central Arizona College serves as a true learning community with true capitalize by empowering our students and staff to succeed through teaching, reaching, understanding, empowering, and learning. And the values that are being proposed are accountability, communities, and trust. And as is true with all academicians, we like to put things into little acronyms so the values spell out ACT. And so I will entertain any questions. There are a few members of the Strategic Planning Committee here. If you guys could stand up, everybody that participated in this, it's pretty much almost everybody in the audience. So we had wide input. We included students in this as well. So any questions or comments, concerns?
I don't hear any comments or concerns. Thoughts or feelings?
Attack.
It is much shorter than what we've had in the past and more concise, and I think that's a good move. We have as an action item on our agenda to approve or not to approve. Do I hear a motion?
I would make a motion that we approve.
I have a motion and a second to approve the revised mission, vision, and value statements. Is there any further discussion by the board? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. Those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed by nay? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you to the team for putting that together. And please extend to the students who participated our appreciation for their time and thoughts and efforts. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Item number 6, graduation fee. Jenny Cardenas.
Good afternoon, President Gibson, Governing Board, Dr. Elliott, faculty, staff. I'm excited to come before you today to share with you our proposal that we would like to push forward today. The background for bringing this forward is that over the past several years, the college has made great strides in developing stackable credentials for our students and allowing them to complete technical certificates that range from 16 to 18 credits, and then advanced technical certificates, which are about 30 hours, which can lead to associate's degrees. What we've seen is that as students are pursuing these certificates and degrees, we have in the past had a graduation processing fee, and the processing fee is per item, per certificate or degree that the student is applying for, which can be a burden and a barrier to some students to have to pay at the end of their time that they've spent at CAC and done so well and earned these credentials, to have to then pay the processing fee. We've also, in looking at research nationally, the Community College Research Center has revealed that graduation fees are one of the barriers that have been identified for students completing. They get to a certain point, they've finished, and then don't necessarily complete their certificates or degrees prior to transferring or going into the workforce in some cases. So over the past few years, many universities and colleges have started reducing and eliminating those graduation fees, again, to remove some of those barriers and to increase completion and student success. So CAC annually brings in less than $15,000 in graduation fees, so we don't feel as though it would be a significant issue for the college to remove this fee, but it definitely would be a barrier that we would be able to remove that is in front of students and helping them to complete. So this also, student completion is one of the board ends that we've discussed recently, as well as assuring affordability to students. So we're asking that the board consider removing the graduation processing fee from our fee schedule. And one secondary note that I'd like to add is in the proposal, it does indicate that it's proposed that the Board of Governors remove the graduation fee of $25 effective February 28th. Your packet says 2017, and that was an error. It should be February 28th of 2018, which would be tomorrow. 2018, which would be tomorrow.
The proposal is not retroactive to last year.
No, it is not.
Thank you. Any other items for us to consider before we consider the...
Nothing.
All right. So we have before us a proposal to remove the graduation fee of $25 effective February this year, 2018. Certainly all of us who participate in those graduation activities sense and feel that there's not 100% of the students there that have graduated receiving certificates and degrees that are passing through. Of course, sometimes when it's raining like it was recently, we understand why some kind of slip out afterwards, but we sense and feel and hope perhaps that removing this fee might increase participation amongst students. you feel that that would be a possibility, Jenny?
We do. We actually have several academic departments that have come forward and indicated that they have students who, for this graduation, even for May, have indicated that although they would like to graduate, they've earned multiple certificates, and it's upwards of $100 for them to pay just to graduate for something that they've already earned. So the other thing to consider is we have significantly changed the process for processing graduations. With our new student information system, it's much less tedious than it had been in the past, being that we have a degree audit program. So we've made changes to the process as well, and feel that we're able to now remove that cost from what the students are having to pay, knowing that we're no longer having to process in the same way that we had before. So we've reduced the cost on our end as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Pleasure of the board.
So I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Dan.
I'm hearing that one of the benefits of the ERP program is that we can eliminate this graduation fee without any negative results or actions.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I like that.
Is that a motion?
No, I think my fellow board member had a motion.
Anybody else? I make the motion we accept the removal of this fee.
I would second that motion.
All right, I have a motion and a second to remove the graduation fee of $25 effective this year. Any discussion? Those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Jenny. Appreciate it. Next item on the agenda is the policy on sabbatical first reading. Brandy Clark.
Good afternoon, Governor Gibson, governing board members, President Elliott, Mary Lou, staff, students, and guests. This afternoon, I present to you the first reading of the revised sabbatical policy. These revisions come at the request of faculty. These changes will allow for a full-time employee to take a regular or working sabbatical leave to study, research, or participate in work experience to enhance competencies which will contribute to the institutional growth. This first reading is for governing board information only, and no action is required at this time. I'd be happy to entertain any questions you may have.
Please.
Is this one per so many years, or just each year it's renewed? What's the frequency?
There is, I don't know it off the top of my head, but there is a time frame within the procedure of which how often somebody can take a sabbatical leave.
All right, and is the pay provided by the college or by the grant or whatever work that they'll be doing?
Sabbaticals are generally funded by the college. So how the current policy that we have in place now is that employee has to completely leave their position, and the college will pay a certain portion depending on the length of the sabbatical they take. But what this proposal is to allow individuals to actually work and maybe have some release time or take on lesser duties while they are studying and doing the research and those types of things.
Right. Is there an idea of how this will improve or affect attrition?
Quite frankly, we don't have a lot of folks that take advantage of this. I think maybe one or two or three, maybe two since I've been here in the past 3 years. Generally, when somebody takes it, they owe a certain amount of time back to the college, or to have to come back and work and not get their degree and then leave, sort of thing. So.
Okay.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? I notice that this is coming at the request of the faculty for consideration. I may have missed it, but if you could just kind of walk us through where this request is coming from, what groups, what has been heard by.
This came from Faculty Senate. They wanted the ability to be able to be granted maybe some additional release time. Many of them aren't, I guess, comfortable completely leaving their position
and going off for a period of 6 months to a year to do their studies or obtain a doctorate or something. So they wanted to be able to continue their duties, but maybe with a lesser load. Same thing would fall for, and again, if you see that this is open to all full-time employees, not specifically faculty, but faculty are the ones that brought the revisions forward in hopes that it would benefit all constituency groups. So that's the thought process behind it, to be able to maybe take on a lesser load while they are doing their studying. And there's a very intense process they have to go through. There's an application process. There is an approval process. There's a committee that reviews it all. So
Thank you very much.
you bet.
Any other questions or discussion? The chair would request then that members of the board review the proposed changes to the sabbatical policy, and we will entertain it on the March agenda.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Yes, please, Deborah.
I'm sorry to be so late. Dawned on me, what if someone's on sabbatical and they don't complete the objectives to which they committed to? Is there a review committee?
Yeah, as part of the process, there is in the procedure, which the board generally only would review the policy, but the procedure does incorporate a portion where they have to have periodic check-ins. They have to provide summaries of where they're at in the status of the process. And then there is a stipulation that in the event that they don't complete, that there would be a payback portion to it as well. So we made sure it goes full circle. We need to make sure that that's in there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Brandy. Appreciate it. Next item on the agenda is tuition and fee schedule. Chris Vodka.
Thank you and good afternoon, Mr. Chair, governing board members, Madam President, Secretary, and all colleagues and guests this afternoon. In your packet for information with final approval at the March meeting is the tuition and fee schedule for the 2018-19 period of time. We are proposing a $0 tuition increase for next year and a few fee increases, mainly in the course fees. You'll notice that they are in the shaded areas in your packet. Those are all academic types of courses where the deans, working with the vice president, decided that there should be either an increase in a fee and or a fee assigned to a particular course that wasn't in the past. We also have, obviously, the removal of the graduation fee that Jenny just talked about. And this is the time of the year also where we calculate an increase in the residence hall fee. So you'll see there's an increase in both the room per semester for the towers and also the quads. And that is about a 10% increase in those costs. Be happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, this is for information this month with a final approval at the next board meeting.
Information only.
Correct.
Thank you. Questions or comments?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Next item is consideration of the consent agenda, number 9 on the agenda. Included in the consent agenda are several items. Any item that would the members of the board would like to discuss additionally should be removed from the agenda. But unless there is such a request, we will vote on all these items as one entry. What is the feeling of the board?
Did you say we would vote on them as one?
We'll vote the consent agenda as one item, yes. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
You have a motion?
Do we?
No.
Yeah, I'm looking for one.
I did not hear one. Okay. I'll make the motion that we
Okay.
accept it as
Thank you.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to accept the consent agenda as presented. Discussion. Those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by saying nay? Motion carries unanimously. We are now ready for our report section, and we will move to our AADGB representative report. Dr. Banks.
Okay. Since this was our first meeting of the year, just a minute, this thing is stubborn. There was a lot to talk about. I'm going to zero in on the two most important items. One is bylaw review. What the board has done was to go ahead and hire this company, AC. It's, I have it someplace. This has not been a good morning. Anyway, they're called AC4. And they were originally hired to do administrative work, filling out forms, etc., for the statewide board. Then the discussion led to the extent to which this company is rich in resources of people's knowledge. And so the issue of could this company also provide legislative information, and that was not put, it's sitting on the seat still, but they want a full review of the bylaws. The other, in the review of the bylaws, they're going to be looking at whether or not they should change from 501c3 to 501c4. I'm assuming you know the difference between the two. The 4 gives them the right to do advocacy, which would be in alignment with this AC4 company. So I'm not going to belabor this because everything's still up in the air. But I have a fun thing for you. And can you take one and pass it down? Sure. And okay, this paper that's being passed out was a little teaser for us, and it came in another source. So if you go to Google or whatever your browser is, make sure Angela has copy too. Thank you very, very much. The generator of the compilation of data was the Center for the Future of Arizona. And the purpose was to look at, what do we have? 8 areas of measurement, and then the data AZ stands for the entire state. The data were broken out by county. So what I did was to take their nice little charts and do a comparison. And there are 4 areas that deserve attention, starting with attainment of the percentage of Arizona residents 25 to 64 years of age who have completed 2 or 4-year degrees. And obviously, Pinell County is behind the entire state. Now, the only problem I ran into was when I separated Pinell County, or when I put together this comparison chart, I couldn't take out the people from Pinell County for the entire state. So there's a little confounding here, but you get the message about the numbers. Now, the shocking one was the opportunity of youth, the percentage of 16 to 24-year-olds that are not going to school or working. And it's almost 10% higher in Pinell compared to the entire state. And then the other 2 that severely need attention is 8th grade math. We all know our students are not good at algebra. And 3rd grade reading. And by the time those 3rd graders get up to 8th grade, if they can't read well enough, they're not going to be able to do math problems. This sheet, I think a lot of you have seen it before. Yes? No? I know Janice is hot on legislation. And I am too. And there are various ways, and this is up to Jackie and Mary Kay and Jenny to talk with their teams and how you want to address this. One of the subjects I came up with was service learning, and we do have service learning on campus. It would be nice to have those students go into the grade schools and the middle schools to fill in the gaps, particularly in algebra and reading with 3rd graders. There are lots of programs out there. I'm not here to tell you what to do, but it was just an eye-opener to see these 2 comparisons between the state and the county and where we're deficient. So, in the pay, I kept that in there. There's not too much we can do about it at this point. In fact, I read an article about 5 this morning on the school districts now turning their funding towards facility improvement. So anyway, that's my report, and Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Deborah, for your report. Are there any questions for Deborah on her? Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Next item on the agenda then will be the report from the Central Arizona College president, Dr. Elliott.
Thank you. Good evening or good afternoon, everyone. First of all, on behalf of our students, I would like to thank the Board of Governors for voting to remove the graduation fee. I feel like that it was a really positive approach towards ensuring our student success. So on behalf of our students, I want to thank you for that. I have a few legislative updates to provide you as well. A couple of bills have already passed the House, in particular, House Bill 2172. It prohibits any post-secondary institution that receives state money to disallow non-lethal weapons on campus. This bill has passed in the House, so that's one that's in particular to watch for. Still wanting to find out the final definition of non-lethal weapons, but we will definitely follow that as well. House Bill 2482 requires all post-secondary institutions to provide a tuition waiver scholarship to an Arizona resident who is in foster care for at least 6 months. That bill is also passed the House. House Bill 2536 allows for homeschooled students to fully participate in dual enrollment or concurrent education through community college districts. That bill has also passed the House. House Bill 2563 requires post-secondary institutions to adopt a policy on free expression and also requires the Arizona Board of Regents and Community College District Boards of Trustee or Boards of Governors to form a joint committee, establish a 15-member committee on free expression. This bill has also passed the House. Senate Bill 1088 requires post-secondary institutions to provide a tuition waiver for any dependent of a member of the U.S. Armed Forces with a disability rating of 30% or more. And Senate Bill, and those were just introduced. Senate Bill 1370 requires all public state agencies to purchase at least 10% of their energy from green sources by July 1st, 2023. And then finally, this is one that we discussed before and it's passed the House, and that has to do with the definition of one-way communication by one member of a public body that is sent to a quorum of members and proposes any kind of legal action through electronic communications. It allows for violation of that to result in litigation or legal action if the board violates open meeting law, and that bill has passed the House. The other bills that I mentioned at our previous board meeting have either stalled out or have not received any enough votes. Any questions on some of those before I move on to the district update?
No questions.
Okay, great. District update, a few things to highlight. The foundation held its first annual big event on February 9th. I'm happy to report that they exceeded their goals for sponsorships and their goals for revenue from the silent auction. We had probably almost 250 people in attendance and received positive comments about the event and wanting to know when it's going to be held next year. Also want to point out that the college was featured nationally in 2 publications this last week. The first publication was the American Association of Community Colleges daily publication and University Business about our SUNT partnership. I think this is probably one of the first times we've maybe been recognized nationally in either one of those publications. So we're really happy about that. The foundation has started a new campaign to raise funds for Promise for the Future. It's a future scholarship, and it's entitled 25 Changes Lives. And so you all have one of these in front of you that we will be using during our campaign. Ken, I'll catch you afterwards. And really excited about this new campaign about 25 Changes Lives. The college recently also received a donation of a forklift from Daisy Brand for the industrial maintenance program. So we're really excited about that. The Strategic Planning Committee is finalizing the strategic goals and objectives for the 2018-21 strategic plan, and that will hopefully be presented to the board in March. I'm still getting some feedback from several members of the committee. And earlier this month, the college hosted almost 200 Future Farmers of America students on our campus for their annual field day, and that was a huge success. We did not have any correspondences for you this month in your board packet, so that completes my report, and I'm happy to entertain any questions you may have.
Madam President, I have a question. On the strategic planning committee, is there any board representation?
No. We did use, I will say that the strategic planning committee did use the board in statements in guiding their decisions to pick the goals and objectives. So the board in statements heavily influenced the strategic planning committee. I see some heads nodding, but your board in statements were heavily influenced in that. And the board will have an opportunity, obviously we have to bring it before the board, but no, that was probably a good question, maybe an oversight on my part.
Is it too late to add a member?
No, I think actually probably what I can do is send to the board the document that I sent to the strategic planning committee that summarized what we've done to date and how we got to where we are, and then get your feedback before the March meeting. I think probably definitely is doable.
Other questions or comments? Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Appreciate
Thank you.
it. Next item on the agenda is item 16, Business Affairs Reports. Chris Vodka.
Thank you and good afternoon once again. 4 reports this month. First one being the monthly budget. You'll see in your packets you have November, December, and January for the expenditures. November reflected about a 2.75% increase from previous year of November 16. December showed about a 3.4% increase from December of 16. And then January 18th reports, we are showing just a slight increase of less than half of 1% compared to January of 2017. So our expenditures at the end of January 31st are about 79.06% of the budget. And that now concludes 7 months of the fiscal year. Be happy to answer any questions you may have on the budget reports.
No questions.
Okay. Next item is the awarded purchases that are $20,000 and over. A handful of them. First one is the RICO maintenance agreements. RICO USA, Pasadena, California, $43,016. And that is to purchase the annual maintenance plan for the copiers throughout the district. Next item is DocuSign System Automated Premium, DocuSign Incorporated, San Francisco, California, $27,175. That is to purchase DocuSign, which is to be utilized with the student payment plan and the new ERP system for the district. Next item, Dell Optiplex 3050 microcomputers and mounts, CCB Technology, Racine, Wisconsin, $203,903.70. That is to purchase replacement computers for the district. Next item is E2417H Dell 24 monitors, also CCB Technology, Racine, Wisconsin, $38,412. That is to purchase replacement monitors for the district. Next item is parts for replacing switches and their UPSs. Dimension Data, Charlotte, North Carolina, $52,279.50, and that is to purchase parts to the interconnect switches on the district. Next item, Adobe Acrobat Pro Licensing, CDWG, Vernon Hills, Illinois, $23,897.60. That's to renew the Adobe Acrobat license for the district. Technology Services, CenturyLink, Phoenix, Arizona, $23,000. That's to purchase the telephone services for the district. And Microsoft Licensing, CCB Technology, Racine, Wisconsin, $108,148.91. That is to renew the Microsoft licensing for the district. And the last one is to renovate BAS T building. Advanced Controls Corporation, Tucson, Arizona, $39,171.32, and that is to upgrade Building T, the controls for the HVAC system to work with our Delta control systems that we have currently in place. Any questions on any of the awarded purchases?
Thank you very much for your report.
Okay. Next item is the ERP update. A number of items listed in your packet. Two that I would just like to highlight is that over the last month, both the HR and the payroll departments have been working vigorously on the configuration sessions. They're still ongoing and will continue for the next a few weeks. And also that we had our first financial aid disbursement. About $1.4 million was the first disbursement that occurred on the 19th of February. And that is our first financial aid disbursement on our new Student Nexus system. Any questions on the ERP update?
No questions.
Just a comment.
Oh, wait a
Ve-
minute.
very-
there is one. Excuse
Very
me.
nice report. I found the detail in there perfect. So hopefully it wasn't too burdensome. And
Oh, absolutely not. We'll reach a gentle balance of what the board would like to see. And the last item is the annual audit report. I believe all of you received 3 different documents within the last several weeks from the Auditor General's office. I'd just like to touch on each of the 3 documents briefly. The first one was just a 2-pager that would look like this document. That would be your complete report highlights, which summarizes on a higher level the balance sheet and income statement, so to speak, and also then summarizes the audit findings and recommendations. And if you haven't looked at the reports, you will see that we do have 4 findings this year. They're all IT related findings. We were expecting findings. If you recall, last year's audit, meaning the fiscal year ended June 30th of 16, the AZ General's office split half the schools in the state of Arizona to do a specialized IT audit, and 5 were audited in 16 and 5 were audited in 17. So our turn was in 17. A lot of these IT findings are similar to all of the other schools received as well as findings. They're pretty standard findings. And you'll see the recommendations that from the Auditor General's office and our corrective action plan and responses. We are working on these 4 IT findings, so they would be eliminated for our next audit for the year ended 6/30/18. If there are no questions on that, the second item is what is called the single audit report that you would have received. And in there, it lists out the 4 IT findings. If you'd like to make a note, pages 9 to 11 list the findings, and at the end of the document is the corrective action plan. And the last document is actually what is our CAFR book. That is the bound copy, the comprehensive annual financial report. As you recall, this is our now 3rd year we are doing a CAFR report, both for the fiscal years ended 15 and 16. We submitted our CAFR report for evaluation and received positive feedback and awards on the CAFR reports. We will do the same thing for this June 30th, 17 report. Be happy to answer any questions. I mean, the key thing is the opinion. We do have what's called a clean opinion on page 11 of the document. I'd just like to read the short paragraph that states, in our opinion, based on our audit and the report of the other auditors, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects the respective financial position of the business type activities and discretely presented component unit of Pinal County Community College District as of June 30th, 2017, and the respective changes in financial position and where applicable cash flows thereof for the year then ended in accordance with U.S. generally accepted accounting principles. So that is the type of opinion you are looking for, and what's called the clean opinion. So with that, I know it's a lot of documents and so forth. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have today or any follow-up in the future.
Questions or comments? Thank you, Chris. We appreciate your attention to detail.
Thank you, sir.
Next item is the monitoring reports, and Chris is going to stay at the podium and going to be joined by Jenny.
I think this is a Chris and Jen show. Okay. All right, I will take the first couple of ends for number 5. The first one is ends 5.1, campus crime statistics. In this figure, you'll see stats for both 2015 and 2016. And you'll see that CAC campus crime statistics, 13 for the year 2015, 18 for the year 2016, compared to rural community colleges, and we selected, I believe they were 3 of them, Western Yavapai and also Eastern, because they have similarities in terms of res life halls and also full-fledged police departments. The crime statistics appear on paper that our campus has more crime than perhaps our peer institutions. This is something where we're going to do a root cause analysis to find out what may be the issue here. We will form a task force to review this. Because looking over some of these crime statistics, some of the schools reported absolutely 0 over the last 2 years, which is just very difficult to believe that a school would have 0 statistics. Some of this may do with, is it an incident report or is it an actual police report? We take every crime on campus seriously, and from the littlest thing of the littlest item missing from a campus dorm or whatever the case might be, we report it as a crime, versus other schools may be reporting in a different manner. But we need to investigate this further to see why our numbers seem out of line with our peer institutions in terms of the crime statistics. And so, just to follow up on that first one also, some of the recent developments, or improvements I should say, is we developed recently a community of respect, which is targeting all of our students when they start the new semester in the fall. We have a lot of orientation sessions with our police department on the do's and don'ts on campus and so forth. We relaunched what's called the Silent Witness program to encourage both the college community students and staff and so forth to report any incidents and to communicate with our police department. And we have also recently increased our police officer staff. Last year we hired a full-time staff person for both the Santan, Maricopa, and SMC campuses, where we have full-fledged police officers for the day shift on those campuses. So those are some of the recent improvements that we're working towards that. Second item, 5.2, is employee satisfaction with campus safety. The statistics here show 37% for 2015 and a little higher, 45% in 2016. And this is from information that was measured through the CAC, which is the Community College Survey of Student Engagement. We are looking at this statistic as well to see why it is seemingly low, and we'll do an analysis with a task force also to find out what we are missing here, since we don't feel that our campuses are unsafe, but why our percentages don't reflect that is something we have to dive into a little deeper. Let's see, some of the planned improvements there is also looking at keyless entry to buildings and residence halls, increasing security camera coverage. Over the last couple of years, we've finally installed some security cameras, and we are installing more during the next fiscal year. If that is something that will help with the satisfaction and perception of campus safety, so we're doing that as well in the next budget. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. These are the first 2, and then Jenny will cover the last 2.
Are there any questions relative to the first part of the report? I think it's safe to say that the entire Central Arizona College community, from administration, staff, students, certainly from the governing board standpoint, And I think it's important to the community at large that our campuses are safe. And I will be very interested in the analysis that is done by administration and others as to why there might be a higher incident. But I am heartened by the fact that our people feel that we are improving in safety. At least the perception of safety is there. And to me, that means a lot. I don't know what the others or data is tied to, but the fact that the satisfaction is increasing amongst our people on campuses, to me, is a good sign. Thank you for that information. We'll be looking forward to more of that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Just for clarification, the 5.2 or the 45%, is that both personnel and OSHA and like lab safety? Are all those combined in there, or is this just personnel safety?
I'm not sure to answer that.
Sorry. It's just the employees' answer to the question that says the college takes responsible steps to provide safe and secure environment for the campus. That's the only question that the employees see. So their response to satisfaction is towards that question.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, my turn next. I wish I had a joke. I know that I'm not going to say anything that's real funny, but you said we needed to add comedy to it, right? Chris might add something. The next two measures that we're looking at, the first, and I'm going to kind of put the two together as we talk about the recent and the planned improvements, but looking at the statistics. So figure 5.3 is related to student educational experience. And the question that students were asked on the Community College Survey of Student Engagement is, how would you rate your entire educational experience? So the goal that the governing board set for the college was 85%, and we're in line with our peers and surpassing that goal at having a percentage of 86%. So 86% of our students indicate that they would rate their higher ed experience positively. So this has been a great thing definitely for CAC to take a look at. The second is figure 5.4, which is specific to student satisfaction. And the question that was answered is, I would recommend this, or that they rated it on, was I would recommend this college to my friends and family. And looking at the report, although the goal was set at 95%, CAC does have a 94% rate of our students saying, I would recommend this to my friends and family, which is definitely a positive. We've still got some work to do in reaching the goal that was set by the governing board. And this question was also on the Community College Survey of Student Engagement. So those were both very positive things. And what we did to look at both the recent and planned improvements is met with the vice presidents from Student Services and Academic Affairs, as well as the deans from the two areas, to kind of find out what things do we think led to this over the last couple of years. So the recent improvements that we've had that we believe might have added to this, one would have been the implementation of the co-requisite model that we've talked about over the last couple years, and allowing students to take both their developmental reading class at the same time as a college level course. So encouraging students to start to get into some of the courses that they may find more interesting and things that they may enjoy taking, as well as implementation of a degree audit that we spoke about this morning. We haven't been here that long, have we? There's kind of a but the degree audit, which is a part of our student information system, which definitely has been and will be beneficial to our students in being able to see where they are on their degree path. A student-friendly website. So we've, over the last couple years, initiated a brand new website for CAC, as well as a student portal. We've begun piloting a one-stop at our SMC campus now, but with planned improvements to expand the one-stop for services. So when students come in and they're looking for student services, they're looking to register and be admitted to the college, all of their processing can happen in one place. And in particular, working with just one or two individuals, opposed to having to wait in a separate financial aid line and cashier line and advising line and registration line. So really trying to help students through their process here at CAC. Also, improving campus facilities and technology. We've made lots of improvements over the last couple years that we feel would have contributed to these increases. The planned improvements in these two areas would be improving communication. It's been something that we have been working on and are continuing to work on improving our communication. We will have our new communication tool in the student information system that we'll be rolling out in April, which really expands communication when it comes to text and phone calls and emails and personalized communications with students. So that's something that's planned that we're very excited about. When a student comes in and says, hey, I want to be a nursing student, they then start getting targeted information about nursing clubs and organizations and their program of study and who their advisor is. So really able to focus on what students are receiving. Assigned advising based on program of study, and Blackboard updates, just lots of different things that we have for students that we think are all contributing to these ends and will continue to. And the final of the slides is related to student diversity. So the governing board identified the goal of 40%. And this is basically looking at our student population and ensuring that it mirrors the diverse population of our county. So if we compare the two, the goal again was 40%. Our county is 43% diverse based on ethnicity. And our student population at this point is at 58%. So we've well exceeded the goal that the governing board has put in place as well.
Jenny, can I do a point of clarification, please?
Yes, please.
The board did not set this goal. If you'll notice, it was this old strategic plan goal.
Sorry, okay.
And one of the things that we will do as the new strategic plan comes out, if this didn't make it in the new strategic plan, then this will come back to the board to set a new target. So some of the targets were established from the old strategic plan, and others were with the board. So I just wanted to clarify.
Thank
Sorry.
you for clarifying.
I think that's written in their report.
Yes, okay. I apologize for missing it. Okay, are there any questions? That concludes
No
our
questions.
monitoring report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Good information. Our next board meeting will be March 20th, 2018 at the Signal Peak campus. And at this time, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? I have a second. Those in favor of the motion to adjourn, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Motion carries unanimous. We're out of here.